Welcome to Sports Map. I'm Vanessa Richardson. That is Paul Gallant. You can hear us from 10 to 12 Central every day on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 in Houston. You can also stream us on the ESPN app or on Twitch. Week 1 is in the books for the NFL, and even though the Texans ended up tying with the Colts at 20, there were some positive takeaways. I really liked the way that O.J. Howard, 2 touchdowns, and Jerry Hughes played. Paul, this gave me a lot of hope, as we talked about on the show today. A lot of hope for Nick Caserio's ability to eye talent, guys that might not have worked out on other teams, but are going to fit in the scheme here.
Yeah, I'll start with Jerry Hughes. Going into the year, I thought Hughes was going to be one of the 5 most impactful Texans on this team. I did not think he would be as good as he was, though, right out of the gate. But piggybacking off of that third preseason game performance where he was chasing Trey Lance down the whole game, he has 2 sacks, he has a deflected pass, he has an interception. He's the best player on the field for the Texans in this game. And to think that at 34 years old, he's able to give you something like this, it's great. This defense is young. I think it needs to have a veteran presence on it to calm the guys around down, especially when maybe you're in a late game situation, you got your backs to the goal line, and you saw the defense step up a couple of times. Having a guy like Hughes on that defense, I think, is going to be really big as the season continues, especially if he's productive. And then to O.J. Howard, Howard said after the game that Pep Hamilton, offensive coordinator of the Texans, had told him that against Gus Bradley's defense, the defensive coordinator of Indianapolis, he was going to be open down the seam. He followed what he was instructed to do. He made catches in traffic. He was able to use that big body of his to get into the end zone. Man, considering the guy hasn't been here even 2 weeks, that was an awesome first performance to see from him. So good job by Nick Caserio, as you said, Vanessa, looking for talent where you can find it, looking in the bargain bin that you could see maybe at a Walmart or a Target where you got all those old DVDs.
Hey, it didn't work out for them in the Bills. Who's to say it shouldn't work out here? So those are 2 of the veterans. Let's talk about 2 of the draft picks, Derek Stanley Jr. and Jalen Petrie. Safe to say we need to see a bigger sample size. This was just week 1, but what were your impressions specifically of Stingley and Petrie?
I'll start with Stingley. Stingley, along with Steven Nelson, and you even saw it from Desmond King, made big deflections in big moments. And look, I wasn't really expecting a whole lot out of the secondary going into this year. And I know that statistically they allowed a lot of yards from Matt Ryan and company. But Stingley, along with the rest of those guys, that's a very good first start. As for Jalen Petrie, more of what we saw from him in the preseason and in training camp. The guy is extremely explosive, and you always see him around the ball. I hope that as the season progresses, that we see him start to make plays on the football, punching the ball out, stripping the ball. But again, a lot of really nice first performances for the Texans in a game that ended up being a little frustrating.
All right, according to Pro Football Focus's rating, Davis Mills graded better than the other 2021 quarterbacks yesterday. What are your thoughts on that? Even though Davis Mills was a little bit up and down, he's been a nice surprise from that draft class.
Well, I mean, who are you comparing him to? Mac Jones played pretty poorly against the Miami Dolphins. Trey Lance and Justin Fields, that field was an absolute slot fest, but neither of those 2 looked particularly good. Trevor Lawrence in his first game with Doug Peterson, he had a throw that wasn't very good either in yesterday's action. So, look, I don't agree 100% with that assessment. I thought that Mills had a moment in the third quarter where he seemed to be settling in. He gets hit from the blind side. He fumbles, and he seemed to be frantic the rest of the game. He was sailing passes towards the sideline. I'm not in. I hope that I change my mind. I hope that he proves me wrong. But I know that Pro Football Focus, from time to time, the grading system has some flaws or 2. And I guess that the only reason Mills is at the top of this mountain is because it was not a very good one for these young quarterbacks week 1.
We shall see week 2. They have a tall task in Denver against a quarterback you know well and covered in Russell Wilson. Of course, you'll hear all of the recaps from that on Vanessa and Gallant every day again from 10 a.m. to noon. Have a good day, guys.
Peace.